Hey guys, it is Red and Blue, and today, I'm sorry, but we have to talk again about one of the topics that honestly, I'm not super fond of covering. We've got to talk about Kylian Mbappé because there's been quite a lot going on with him, and a lot of it touches on PSG, obviously. So yeah, let's just talk about it, and see the latest drama. The news, the one that really made me turn on the camera today. Mbappé, who won his lawsuit against PSG last month, saw fit to send to the office of PSG yesterday a bailiff to try to get hold of 5.9 million euros that come on top of the 55 million euros that the club already paid to him as a result of the lawsuit. And yeah, apparently, that wasn't quite enough. Times are tough for the Mbappé. Things aren't really clicking in Madrid. Caen is a football club property is not really doing well. So I guess, there was need for a penny and a half. So 5.9 million. The bailiff essentially came and said, hey, you've got to pay us in the week to come. Otherwise, we're gonna go and get it straight from your account. To which PSG answered, apparently, what they're saying is they're quite surprised because they've been cooperating, and they're even if they disagree with the ruling for obvious reasons, they've been actioning on it and following it. They've already paid 55 million euro, and they were apparently, what the PSG is saying is that they were negotiating with Mbappe's attorneys to agree on the schedule for the payment of the rest. Essentially, what they did is that they paid the 55 million were for the wages and bonuses that were part of Mbappe's contract, supposedly. And the 5.9 are essentially paid holidays. Nice one. That were due for the player as well. So in essence, the drama is not yet over. And yeah, it's a bit silly as well, because what the club is saying, which is fair, is that they still have until, I think, 10 days from now to decide if they want to appeal the ruling or not, which is entirely their right to do if they decide to do so. So, as always, I think Mbappe's really got a way of just putting himself in a bad light, really, because yeah, man, at some point, the money is coming to you, the club is paying, you can wait 10 days and just do it in good intelligence anyway. It's it doesn't really make a big difference. It's just it's unfortunate. Honestly, it's unfortunate because that story of PSG and Mbappé, there was no way it was going to end well as soon as he decided to leave on a free. But yeah, it still could have ended better than this. It still could have ended in better intelligence, and with a little bit of class, more class on both sides than what we currently got. Though I do think that most recently PSG is a party who's coming out better looking than the other, and ultimately it is what it is. It's just frustrating, but yeah. And I think it comes at a time as well where I think the timing is funny, because at the same time you do see a big increase recently in Real Madrid fans actually questioning Kylian Mbappé, and really realizing that his influence on the squad and on how Real Madrid is performing is not really that positive, and that if you scratch below the surface of all of the goals that he's scoring, and you start poking fun at how many penalties he gets, how much how much he's a vampire on the team, essentially. And there was a data point that got shared around on Twitter recently, which was made the round pretty quickly, which is that essentially Real Madrid before Mbappé used to score more goals per game than Real Madrid with Mbappé. And on the other end, PSG with Mbappé was scoring less goals than PSG without Mbappe is doing now. And so yeah, like there's a reality, and I think if you dabble a little bit into statistics and these sort of things, like it's just a simple principle. It's just because he's scoring a lot of goals doesn't mean that the team overall is getting better, and it is a team sport, and ultimately, like, this is what matters. So we've seen it in PSG. For us, like, I think it worked out quite well because, like, for all of the talent that he's got, and I'm saying, like, he's still a massively talented player. It is a collective sport, and you cannot have like a player who's playing completely on his own and not really participating. And the funny part is that, like, so this week there was Didier Deschamps, the coach of the French national team, was part of a conference of some kind, was giving a speech, and he got asked about Mbappe's like contribution to the game. And essentially, he got asked, and his answer was like blunt and like really like straight out. He said, if you're expecting Mbappe to run 11 kilometers per game, he's never going to do it. And just like the fact that he's saying that, it's incredible. It's incredible. I'm sorry, but it's not like it's an unfair expectation to have of a player and of a striker that he would run on the pitch, and especially for a player like Mbappe, where supposedly like his physicality and his speed and his acceleration is really part of what makes him a world-class player. So like the fact is, yeah, like, he's got, like, for me, from my perspective, and like looking at this Real Madrid team, Mbappe is got to be like working more. He cannot just like count on the fact that he's scoring goals, because ultimately, like, if you're Real Madrid, even if you have Joselu on 9, like, he's going to be scoring goals as well, because you've got a world-class team around him that's creating stuff. You're playing against like Elche or whatever, like, teams they've got in Spain, Malaga or whatever it might be. I'm sorry, but like, yeah, you're not playing against Barcelona every weekend. And even if you are, like, with the teams you've got around you, yes, they can make things happen for anyone. So that was one of the things that came out. The other thing that Deschamps said is saying that Mbappe has this image of being very individualistic and almost like egotistic sometimes. And he says that one, like, it's a bit normal for a striker to be like individualistic and to want to score and to want to do things himself, because that's what they're here for, which is a relatively fair point to make. And he's saying that within the locker room, he's actually behaving as a captain of the French team, and he's got no complaints about that. Which is, given everything that we've been hearing and the stories, and the Mbappe is like choosing to come for that friends game versus not come for that one, and like he wants his friends, and like he wants to play like this, like, yeah, there's always stories surrounding Mbappe, which really do tend to like, yeah, shows that he's like on the wrong side of egotistic. Yes, to some extent he should be. Yes, to some extent, like, all of the top players are, and it's just like what you need to make it at that level. But yeah, in the case of Mbappe, like, is he taking it too far? Who knows? Like, I'm not close enough to know for sure. But yeah, like, the fact is that throughout his career, there's always been stories. Throughout his careers, there's patterns, and it's really what I'm looking at here. That there's real patterns. He left Monaco. He was not on good terms with the club and with the fans. He left PSG not on good terms with the club and with the fans. He's consistently like prioritized money and his revenues over like other things. He's consistently like put himself ahead of the team in terms of asking for what he wanted, in terms of positioning, in terms of style of play, even like in terms of coaches, in terms of partners. So it is what it is. It's like he's a super talented player. I think to some extent, like a lot of them were doing the same. I'm sorry, but like I remember the heyday of Messi in Barcelona. Like Messi was choosing the coach, Messi was choosing the players who were playing with him, and he was like walking on the right flank for like 88 minutes until like at the 89th he decided to run once and go score a goal. So it is a reality. But yeah, like Mbappé at this point of his career, I think he's 27 years old. It's a bit sad because ultimately, like, it feels more and more with every passing day that it's going to be a career of unfulfilled promises. And that for all of the talent that he had, for all of the things that he displayed when he took football by storm, for what we saw in the World Cup in 2018 and with Monaco and with PSG and so on, he just didn't really like put himself in a position to be able to convert that into a history-making career. Individually and mostly collectively, because for me that's what matters. Honestly, I think Ballon d'Ors are great and so on, and it's fantastic if you can win one, but people support teams, and you watch the games. The games are between two teams, and so ultimately, yeah, this is where it's failing a little bit, and yeah. It's funny as well because like I feel for the Madrid fans, because we told them, and they said like, no, but Madrid is a big club and PSG isn't, so he's not gonna do the same. We know how to handle such players, and like he's always wanted to come to Madrid and he didn't want to be in PSG, it was only for the money. So it is different. Now turns out like 2 seasons in, it's exactly the same. It's chaos around, chaos within, chaos on the pitch. A lot of goals for sure, like unimpeachable in terms of the amount of goals scored, but just not enough of a contribution to get to the top level. So we'll see how the rest of the seasons go. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see like who Madrid decides to pick as coach for next season, and how they go like moving forward. And for me, like honestly, like at this point, I'm just mostly expecting Mbappé to come out in the media at some point, like in the next 4 months, as soon as they're kicked out of the Champions League, really, for him to come out and say like, oh, I want more responsibilities in Madrid. I think like that's what we saw in PSG. That's the next step in the story. So I'm fully expecting that for him. In the meantime, he's going to be cashing in whatever money he can cash from PSG. Good for him. Ultimately, like the law was settled, the suit was heard. So it is what it is. PSG has been paying. He's going to be making more drama around it. Good on him. I'm talking about it because it is news, but like honestly, I could care less at this point. And like, yeah, I just like I hope I don't have to talk about Mbappé again. Really, like I really do hope so. So anyway, this was my video on the Drama King. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. What's your perspective at this point? I know like there's a mix. I think at this point there's a mix between like laughing at the fact that at least he's not in PSG anymore and he's somewhere else, and even if we're still impacted, like most of the drama isn't ours to deal with, and just like still so much frustration because like it's horrible. Like literally this guy is the top scorer of PSG of all time, and yet like he's suing us for money. Like literally, like it's unbelievable. So yeah, so I'm gonna stop there. Let me know in the comment what you think. If you made it this far, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Watch the game tonight against Marseille, which is hopefully gonna be a lot more interesting and a lot better for us than this. And as always, don't forget, ici c'est bye.